Yo, what is going on? PartTimerZack here, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about Blitz, which is an overlay application for TFT and League of Legends. I'm going to be showing you how to download it and some of the different uses in order to improve your TFT and League gameplay. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Alrighty guys, so I have the website pulled up here. I will have a link to this in the description, but it's just blitz.gg. You want to click download for free on Windows, let it do its thing. It's going to go ahead and download it, and then you just go ahead and click it. Once it's downloaded, you'll go ahead and click it. It'll pop up. Get ready to do what it needs to do. However, I already have it downloaded, so it won't let me go through this, but pretty much you just go through the prompts, let it go downloaded. And then this is the most important part, is you want to make sure you find Blitz, which I have it right here. Let me do this, put it right in the middle of the screen here. And you want to right click it, go to properties, and then you want to go to compatibility, and you want to make sure to run this as administrator. This gives Blitz the permissions essentially to be an overlay as well, not just a separate application. So you can actually see this while you're playing TFT or League of Legends. So make sure you're doing that or it won't run properly as an overlay. And then you want to go ahead and open it, and this is kind of where you're going to get most of your information. This anything, if you've never played TFT at all, you don't have to sign in. You can sign in, you can make a profile, but you're at the beginning here. Log in as guest user, and then you can link your account if you want to. If you want to create an account, you don't have to, but basically what you want to do is log in as a guest, put in your username, and then the 4 digits at the end for whatever your riot ID is, and then you go ahead and log in, and it'll give you all your information for League and TFT. As you can see, I'm really bad at League. Obviously we just started playing League ranked, but it'll show you all kinds of different things for Valorant, for League's Legend, for Runeterra, all kinds of different things. If you play any of those games that are Riot based, it'll give you heaps of information. So I wanted to break down some of the different things for TFT, and that's going to be the main focus of this video, is just TFT based, because I don't really play a lot of League of Legends outside of TFT. So as you can see over here to the right, it's going to give you some basic information of the last couple matches you played from a couple days ago. You can load more if you want from, I'm not sure how far it goes, but basically it's like 4 to 5 days, and it'll give you where you ranked, what you placed, what units you're running, and your average win rate or your average place rate as well, and some of the games that you've won, and your rank obviously. And then it'll also give you some cool trait stats of like what you're running, what comps work the best for you. You can really dive into this, especially for the last 20 games, and see, okay, so Exile seems to be working for me, Executioner seems to be working with me, but say Divine isn't working that well for me, because it does look like I have a 2.8. Oh, actually Divine looks like it's actually working a lot better than the rest of them, so it's the opposite. So just make sure you're looking at that, as well as your units. So these are basically the units that you're running the most. This is like, say that you have an Irelia on your team. Well, I apparently average 3.8 on the leaderboard whenever I have an Irelia. I don't know if that really matters too much, but it's just an idea of like, okay, if I have this unit on my board, what can I do to make it a little bit better? And then you can also go over here to the right at the top, and you can look at different comps. So this is going to be shown in the overlay that I'm going to show whenever we get to the gameplay part of this, and this will basically show up at the top left, and it will give you kind of an idea of what you want to run. So right now the best thing is the 9 Warlord thing. Everybody kind of knows that, really. Or the Nidalee thing. Where's Nidalee? Yeah, Nidalee carry. This is a big thing. It'll also give you the items that you're supposed to build on these guys if you want to, if you're kind of new. Again, I would take this as a guide. I wouldn't take this as like 100% this is what you need to do. Obviously, whenever you get certain items, you have to kind of build around it. You can't always build what you want to build or whatever. So just make sure you're realizing that this isn't 100% foolproof. It's just to give you a kind of a guide in which way you want to do. You can also sort it based off of what you're doing. So if you're like, okay, I got a duel list, let's sort by duel list. I'll give you a couple builds here. The one is pretty much like you're guaranteed to be like kind of in the top 4, usually based on the items and the different things. And then this one is like 2 would be kind of like it's a lower tier, and then 3 would be the lowest tier, and then they don't really do anything else. And then you can also look at pro builds. This is another thing. You can look at some of the different pros and what they're using. You can also sort this by classes, origins, champions, all kinds of different things. You can also set it by items, and you can see what makes what. So you can see, okay, so BF, and a BF makes a death blade. It'll tell you what the death blade does. So essentially you want to come in here, if you're not familiar with TFT at all, again with League as well, this will also tell you about League, and you can kind of get an idea of how to build comps. You can also see, okay, what items go together, what do these items do. You can kind of do your research. But let's go ahead and jump into what it looks like on an actual overlay of the game, because I think that's the coolest part, because you're actually able to do this in real time. You don't have to worry about coming in here into a separate application, having dual monitors, all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and show you that. We're going to jump into a little TFT. Alright guys, so I went ahead and started a normal. I just wanted to be able to talk over and not pay attention too much to the game. So a couple cool things. One thing I really want to start off with is obviously to the top left, you can see here are the builds. So you click this little down arrow and it'll give you the best builds that are currently running. This gets kind of updated as the meta changes. As you guys know, the meta kind of changes as the set kind of progresses, and this will change as it kind of goes. It was kind of showing a Nidalee carry. Yeah, it shows it right here that Nidalee was like one of the top tier units, and we can kind of see that as the set kind of progresses. Obviously 9 Warlords really good. Say that you have like, okay, so I have Spirit Assassin here. Let's say I want to go Assassin. Actually, let's go Spirit, because I think that's more viable. So you want to go down here to Spirit. You want to click apply. It'll give me some builds here. Obviously it's giving me an Italy carry. It's also giving me divine executioner Kel. But let's say I'm playing Diana. I want to play assassin Diana. It'll tell me my chosen is assassin. It gives me some boards here. It gives me some stuff. It gives me even items that I want to grab in the carousel. It's also giving me what units I want here at the top as well. If I scroll over them, it's saying here, Timo needs, you know, a Zeke's Herald. That's probably one of the better items on him. Again, I'm not really paying attention over here, guys. Sorry. And then it's also telling me even what the early game comp is going to look like. Even these items that, okay, you see that these units aren't even in the final build, but they are here and you can go see more and it can give you some different information. It's saying, hey, pick up these guys. You know, I want this Garen apparently. Okay, that's a good idea. Need the Garen, but we're eventually going to pivot to the better item or the better units as we kind of progress. Oh, big cash day, big payday. And then it's going to tell me what items I want. And then if I scroll over, okay, Diana, what do you need? You need a BF and a crit. Okay, well, I have the BF and I have a rod here. Okay, it doesn't look like she needs one of those. Okay, actually she does. There we go, Hexblade. Obviously, I already knew that because I kind of play, you know, this quite a bit as far as like this comp. But now, okay, I know that now. Okay, a Hexblade, that's actually a good item on her. You want to play with items that, you know, will benefit you later on. But say that you're running this and you're like, okay, wow, I got a really good build. What do I actually put on her for items that, you know, I wouldn't really know? And that's one thing you could do. It also gives you positioning here. So let's say this is my final positioning. It won't really tell you for the early comps, unfortunately, but say I get all these units. Okay, this is kind of how I want it lined up. Obviously, we're using the Yumi here with the Zeeks, so it does give you the placement where the Zeeks is going to be the most beneficial for you. Now, one thing I want to jump into is to the right here. You can actually see, so if you're like me and I was not familiar with League at all, I didn't know anything about the items. I didn't really know anything about the characters. Obviously, my friends play League. But I was like, hey, I want to try TFT. And so this is how I got into League. Off to the right here, it'll actually tell me. So if I click on the BF sword, it'll say, okay, so a BF and a rod. We know that that makes a gun blade because we just made one. Well, okay, cool. What would it do if I made a tier? Okay, it would give me a spear. Okay, that's kind of cool. And it gives me what it knows and what it does. Now, here's the coolest part, at least in my opinion. So say that I click on my unit here, I can see what she has. It gives me that information right there. If I right click it, it tells me what it is. Okay, so that's kind of a cool idea as well. So let's see, what am I actually building here? Let's see if I can actually, if I have like an item, a separate item, it'll actually give me, if I right click it, it'll give me a little path in which I can actually follow in order to also make stuff. So let's see if I can click this brand. Okay, so if I click this brand, he has a tier on it. It actually tells me all the stuff that he can actually load up on as far as other items as well. So it's kind of a good idea to look at this and, you know, kind of start to play around a little bit, because obviously the filters here, you can reset on anything. Say I want to run an assassin. Let's see if anybody runs assassin. Obviously, we're going to get like the Diana stuff. Obviously, this will only show you as much as it can show you. It's mainly just for a guide. It's not going to give you like 100%. Here you go. Here's a bill. Here's a comp. What can it do to help benefit you and put you in the right path, the right direction in order to kind of help you? So I would really use this as a guide, like I said, and not really use it too much as like 100% foolproof. I'm going to be fourth. I'm going to be first, just based off these builds. It's just more or less here to help you kind of get an idea of what you need to build or what you could build and some of the items that you need to prioritize on carousel, or, you know, maybe some of the units you'd like to do, or positioning, because a lot of people don't know much about positioning. And like I said, you do need to make sure that you're watching your enemies and stuff and playing off of them. It's not just 100% like, okay, if I put my units in this little position, I'm always going to win. No, obviously, if, you know, they have a good setup or a good position, you're going to have to kind of play around that as well. So this is just really for a beginner guide of how to kind of get into the game and understand what some of the different things you need to do in order to play. So I kind of just wanted to show off Blitz because I think it helps a lot of people. Just don't get too dependent on it and try to learn on your own. I would take, you know, a couple minutes just to go into the Blitz app and learn the items, learn the units, look at the units as far as like what do they do, what are their buffs, and how they worked well together. Also look at some of the pro builds and see like what people are building and get a general idea of what you should and shouldn't do and what you shouldn't build. All right, guys, so I actually ended up losing that game and it wasn't really that cool of a match or whatever. I would have included it. So I'm just going to include the part where I talk about the Blitz application and the overlay. But if you guys do actually want to see some sort of gameplay explanation over gameplay and stuff like that, let me know down in the comments and I'll definitely look into doing that. It's something I'm kind of interested in, but I don't know if you guys are interested in it as well. So anyway, guys, have a good rest of your night and I will see you next time. Peace.